Hey there, YouTube. Petey Twofinger here with the lithium ion replacement. This is a cordless drill. It's master built, master force. This is the Menards house brand, and we bought this tonight for $1.99. It has a it was completely dead. It's got a 2.1 millimeter charge port. So this is a 5 volt 1 amp, which is a little high. You really would want, I would want like 5 volt, around 200 milliamp, 100 milliamp, anything under 300 to give this a slow charge. But this would work. So we bought this for $1.99. I've got a collection of these here to show you. Lithium ion, Black & Decker, and then this is a Ryobi. So this one comes with a, what do you call that? A cradle that it sits in and makes a contact point here and recharges, and there's a color LED. It's a nice unit. This is the Skill IXO lithium ion. It's real small. This is a nice one. And this Black & Decker is a similar type thing, but when I got it, they just had this. They didn't have the charge port. So I determined which was positive and negative on where it plugs in, and you're able to take a little alligator clip and plug that on, and then clip that onto the charger for the IXO, and then the LED comes on and it charges through, and you're able to do it that way. The Ryobi has its own charger. Let's see what that's spec'd out at. 4.5 volts, 160 milliamps. So that's probably ideal. Good luck finding that one. Now, what happened today, here's the price tag for this one, $1.99. We got it home, and I was plugging different things into it. The light would come on once, or would pulse 3 times. It was acting funny. So we removed the chassis screws. There's 2 in the handle, high and low, and then 2 on the sides. Popped it open, and this front thing stayed on there. It was really like the trigger fell out. I was able to keep the forward and reverse mechanism in place, and just popped the battery out through the plastic crack. And then I used this is a lithium ion 4 volt battery. This is called an 18650, like a AA. This is an 18650. Okay, and the charger looks like this. This is a good IntelliCharger, and then there's cheaper 4 unit. This is like $5 charger. I've got a few different kinds. I've got, well, you'll have to trust me. I've got Trust Fire, trust me, and then these ones, and then there's the ones that are actually, they're just like a plug. It's a black plastic circle with the plug in it, and you plug that right in. I got one of those too. So this is my collection of lithium-ion 18650 batteries, plus there's more here. You get these in dustbusters. Anything that says lithium-ion, I will buy if it's cheap. If it's like a dustbuster for $2.99, I will get that. I will tear the battery pack out. It'll usually have like 4 or 6 of these in there. And then I'll either put a different different cable on the dustbuster, or throw it away. A lot of times people will vacuum up like milk. Like, I spilled this milk. They vacuum that up and then just put that in the back of my car at 110 degrees. And then people like, let me test that shit out at the Goodwill. They'll plug it in and, oh! So yeah, I've got a good collection of 18650 batteries. Typically, you can get like about 6 to 8 out of a laptop power pack, and those are usually cheap. They'll usually sell them cheap because they know it's dead. But when you'll take either a mechanic screwdriver or a hobby knife, like a thick carpet blade is really handy. You go around the top lip and keep kind of cutting into that and prying at it. Use a little regular screwdriver and rip the top off. And then you'll pull out all the batteries, usually kind of like some double-sided tape in there. You got to rip it all out. It's something you kind of want to wear gloves. There's these sharp little metal tabs that come off each side of the battery. Then they have a wire on that, and they're all wired together. And what I do, I don't even mess around. I go right in with a needle nose, and I'll roll it over like you do with a sardine can and rip those tabs off the top and bottom of all the batteries. And then you can go with a file and try to clean it up, or it's better to, I would say, to tamp them down, you know, than try to remove them. Now, in the case of this, you know, then charge them up. You can read on the side. Oftentimes, it's very difficult to read. It'll say, like, UR 18650S, and that's, like, stamped in very lightly. It's very hard to see. You need, like, really intense lighting, and I would recommend a magnifying or some reading glasses. And type that into Google, and it'll come up. It'll say, these are made by Sanyo, and they are 2600 milliamp, or 1400 mAh, or milliamp hour, and that's how much capacity they will hold. So the higher the number, kind of the better. That's what you want. It's a longer lasting battery. So today what happened was whatever we were plugging into this, didn't like it. I got to quickly thinking it's either the charging circuit, the board, or the battery. So I thought, well, I paid $2 for this drill. If the charging circuit is bad, I'm going to have to throw it out, but at least maybe I'll get the battery. And the batteries aren't cheap. They typically, you know, $5 to $13.99 for one. So paying $1.99 for one is a good deal. So in this case, what ended up happening, everything was fine. It was the battery that was bad. And what told me that? It was dead. There was no voltage. And then putting it in the chargers and seeing how the lights on the chargers reacted. Literally, they just, one of them, it just went dead. Like, and I've never seen that. So yeah, we grabbed another battery. I took the old one and we typed it into Google. It was 1100 milliamp hours. We went with I didn't have a replacement for that. So we went the next closest, which was higher. And it was a 1400 milliamp hour battery. So I put some flux on both sides and we pre-tinned it with a healthy amount of solder. And then I used my tap hammer to straighten out the tabs and also pre-tin those as well. And then my helper helped out holding, getting everything in place, lining it up. And we went in with the iron and tried to kind of quickly. We don't want to really apply a real lot of heat to the battery. I don't think that's very good. It could reduce some of the life, the throughput of the battery. So want to be careful, and you also want to do that nice and neat so it looks good, because however they had it, you want to try to replicate that for it going back in. Because nowadays, there's no extra room. Even a millimeter of a piece of tape, you'll find in some designs, is more than enough to set it off and make it difficult for you to put the screw back in it or get the clamshell to snap back into place. So immediately when we got that battery soldered in, my wife said, "Ooh, there's a light." And I was reminiscent to the other day. There's another video about 18650 holders. I buy holders, 2, 3, and 4 holders for projects so I can make power packs. And the 2 holders that I got were pre-wired, and they were wired wrong. And when you inserted batteries, it hard shorted them. And so I did that, and it smoked, and the wire was glowing red hot. It melted through the plastic, almost exploded. So check that out. They're the spring terminal type that have the red and black wire. If you've ordered some of those, check them out with your meter before you do anything with them. They're clearly printed to insert them in a series, but they're wired for parallel, and they're hard shorted on both sides. And it says right on it, it's etched into the plastic. Put the one battery in this way and the other way, and they're hard shorted. So yeah, my wife said, "Ooh, there's a light," and I'm thinking, oh boy, because my last experience with 18650 batteries and light was not the good kind of light. It was critical failure, meltdown. So yeah, it turns out that that's all that this guy needed, was a new battery which was charged. So what I'm going to end up doing is, here's a kit of, what do you call them? The bits. And we're going to get a more appropriate charger. Keep an eye out for something that's like around 500 or lower. The 5-volt stuff is super popular now. That's really mostly what you see. And then it terminates in a 2.1 mil, and usually that's always center hot. So it's pretty simple stuff. You can, if it's lithium ion, it's good. Get yourself a lithium ion. How it started for us was the Cree flashlights. These incredible, super bright flashlights that take a single 18650, and also with the vaping, was using these batteries with vape, and then that stuff is starting to come around at Salvation Army a little bit. Every once in a while, you'll see a charger there. But I've been using these batteries for making my own guitar amplifiers and power packs to run the effects pedals for our remote jams. These are wonderful batteries. They're incredible. This is what's in the Cyan, the Infinity. What is that?
Elon Musk, right?
The Tesla. Tesla runs on 18650s. So yeah, if you run into you buy one of these, or you have one, and the battery's no good, it's really not difficult to swap that battery out. If you go through that process that I talked about, using the needle nose, the sardine method to roll off that tin tab connector that's attached to the batteries, you can then tap those out, tin up both ends of the battery, tin up both sides of the connectors, quickly solder them in, pop the battery back into the chassis, run the screws back into the chassis, and you will be back in business. So lithium ion stuff is great, but it does have a shelf life, and I've never bottomed one out. All the lithium ion stuff I have, but I don't abuse it. I'm real careful about charging it. I would think that.
He just went back behind the couch.
Yeah, that's my buddy Kita. I would think that most of the problems with these batteries, they have such incredible shelf life, is directly due to bad charging. So yeah, I got a bunch of other stories I could go on and on about. We were racing around today. I was trying to get this dimmer switch, my barbecue, my 500 watt flood lamp, and replace that thing. And then the screw broke on the flood lamp housing, and I had duct taped it, and it was humid. And then I woke up in the morning, and that tape had failed. It had come off, and the plate glass from the flood lamp had fell 8 feet and did not break on the concrete. So I put that back up there and drilled it out and put some coherent rods through it to hold it up there. And then we were barbecuing and went to throw the light on. I got a smoker, so we were smoking these ribs. The Hokenslappers for Kita. And it's not for me. I could care less about the smoked ribs. Anyway, we went to plug the light in finally, and it didn't work. And it was the dimmer switch had failed. So I found one at Goodwill. It was a little different style, like it was a slider thing. And that didn't really work. It came on right away, and it didn't matter. Didn't affect the brightness of the lamp. So I had gone out today, and I had hit a bunch of Goodwills, and we were in the parking lot of the last one. I was having a mental breakdown. I'm like, they've got so many plates. It's like all these people go, they don't know what they're going to do. They're in a Home Depot. They have to spend some money, so they buy little plates, like just the plastic plates that go over the outlet covers. So there's always hundreds of outlet covers in the hardware section at the Goodwill. But there might be an outlet once every 2 months you'll see an outlet. And twice I've seen these dimmers. Okay. And I was having a nervous breakdown in the parking lot talking about the atypical idiot guy, never really buying anything expensive to recycle that I could end up with that I want. This is my argument. So I was all hating life and cursing God and everything, and then we went in there, and here it was, brand new in the package. General Electric still has the wire nuts. The price tag looks like True Value Hardware. They put a 2 in front of that. $29.45. Okay. 99 cents. So that was awesome. And then I drove like a maniac through traffic to get this. The store was there. It was 10 to 9, and I went in there to get this coleslaw at the deli, and the lady was all, "We're closed." She was standing there joking around with the Mexican guy, and I'm like, "Could I please get some coleslaw?" And she's like, what kind do you want? And I was like, what do you got on sale? She's like, the vinegar. I was like, what other kind of coleslaw do you have? And she's like, we're closed. She was like, Pfft. She's like, you know what? We're closed. And I go, whoa. You have any idea what I went through to get to the store at this time? Because I have like fighting traffic. Like, we got to get the coleslaw. I was like doing like 20 over. I was like, you know, and everyone, people in front of me not passing and slow guys in the left lane next to each other. And I was like, just like really having a tough day. We hit multiple stores in a really incredibly quick time. I was running around. This old French-Canadian lady was like, you need to slow down. I was like throwing shit through the hardware section at the Goodwill looking for this dimmer switch. Because they had a box a box for it, and it was ripped and empty. And I'm like, it's not here. Someone stole it. I was like, she's like, calm down. I drove like a maniac. I'm like, gotta get this coleslaw. This lady's like, we're closed. And then she's like, you yelled at me. Because I was like, do you have any idea what I went through to get to this coleslaw? And she was like, it was too much for her. She's like, and then they were flashing the lights because they heard me yelling at her. She's like, see, they're flashing lights. I'm like, it's 10 till. So I'm like, what's your name? She's like, what are you going to do? Call? And I go, no, I'm going to write a letter. And she goes, see what good that does you. So if you work in retail, any of you watching this, I want you to make sure you're as rude to everyone, especially if it's close to closing and they look like they're really in a hurry. And then make sure that you just talk to your coworkers about how much jagoffs everyone that you like just hate on the customers and hate your job. Don't ever be helpful or try to diffuse if somebody's like all sweaty and their eyes are darting around and they look like they're about to go nuts because there's nothing in the store. All the sales stuff is gone. And you're telling them, no, we don't have any of the fresh French bread for 99 cents. And they go in the back and ask you real nicely. Think about like how you can really push that person's button and get, you know, or just yell at them. And then after you've yelled at them and they ask you your name so they can report you, say, you yelled at me first. That's what you do. So if you work in retail, I'd love to hear some of your stories. That would make a great YouTube video if you could tell me how much of the unbelievable the customers are, how you just hate the customers, and when they can't find anything in your store because you move everything around every 3 months. So that would make for a really interesting video, I think. Thank you for joining me. Replace those lithium-ion batteries, reuse, recycle, and we're closed.